Now, when it comes to wireless transmitters, I consider myself quite knowledgeable. I've been using wireless transmitters for a good couple of years, and on some jobs, I even go 4 to 6 hours using them consecutively. And a brand called Shimbol is coming in quite hot. Welcome back to the channel. As you know, I enjoy reviewing camera gear and creative gear that can be used in everyday scenarios. And when Shimble reached out to me, I was quite excited to gruel their product because they've got some serious claims. Now, I think the big question is, was I impressed? Well, check this out. This is the Shimbol 600S. It's kind of your normal transmitter and receiver setup. And this is the Shimbol ZO600M. Part of the ZOLink series, but this is a monitor, transmitter, and receiver. Now you're probably asking yourself, what makes this worthwhile for a review? Because this type of technology, as of late, isn't exactly something very, very new to the market. Well, what's quite crazy is these transmitter and receiver pairs range from about $330 to $380. This monitor goes for around $399. And a lot of the competitors come in around the $550 to $700 mark just for transmitters. So with these being very affordable, they need to seriously back up the claims they're making, because they're claiming to be better than a lot of the competitors. And usually when something is more affordable, that's when you lose range, features, and reliability. Well, the 600S transmitter has a range of 600 feet, which is around 200 meters. And that's about 150 to 200 feet, 60 meters further than the more expensive competitors. It also has HDMI and SDI ports. It has a USB 5 volt port, which you can use to power via power bank. It also takes your standard NPF batteries, and it has a little OLED screen. Now the OLED screen is not really the brightest, but it's also something that once you've set it up, you don't really have to look at it again. And it's got a very 1, 2, 3 basic button system on the front that allows you to access a very small menu as well as change to your 13 different channels. It has an iOS and Android app for monitoring. The box does just say iOS, but apparently you can pick it up on Android as well. Now I for one don't really use apps when it comes to monitoring these things. It's probably because I have a lot of monitors which are just a little bit more dedicated, and my mobile phone is used for mobile phone stuff. Also, what is pretty cool, it does have a mounting system on the bottom as well as on the side, which allows you to change from mounting a very more high top setup to a more low top setup. And if you put it on like a monitor swivel arm, you can actually lie it down, which makes it very, very low and compact. As you know, with a lot of these, they do have antennas. So with the antennas actually being built in, as well as being able to lie it flat with your different mounting systems, this is pretty cool. Now, all that sounds great. Just wait until we do the range test. So what is it with the Shimbol ZO600M monitor? Well, it's got a lot of features that they brag about, and honestly, they live up to their claims. It's got a 1000 nit display with a 1200 to 1 contrast ratio. And if you're wondering how good this is viewable in daylight, to put it against something quite comparable, I've put it up next to the GH5 screen, which is something that the majority of people will know how bright a camera screen is. They're not the brightest, and sometimes you can't really see them in daylight. It also has HDMI in and out, a headphone jack, a speaker. It also has 2 slots for NPF batteries. Now you can run it just on one. Basically what that means is if you do put 2 batteries in here, you can actually hot swap the batteries. Now to give you an idea, an NPF 750, kind of not the largest NPF battery, but the middle size, I ran this for 4 hours and didn't even get halfway through that battery. So with 2 big batteries, you probably get through an entire wedding quite comfortably. It has 3 function buttons on the top. You can quickly program it in the menu to your favorite 3 functions. In other words, you can set number 1 to histogram, 2 to waveforms, and so on. The monitor is loaded with all those things that you would generally use in terms of waveforms, histograms, false color, etc. It's got a ton of features that pretty much come standard with every single monitor nowadays that the average creator is going to use. And that includes the TF card on the side here, which you can load LUTs. However, that's not where this ends. You can actually set the monitor up that when you hit record on your camera, it will automatically start recording MP4 1920 by 1080, which is the resolution of the monitor, straight onto the TF card as a spare backup. There's a little bit of a limit there. It actually only limits it to 4 gig file sizes. However, in 1080 over MP4 via HDMI, That's going to give you a ton of footage, and most people aren't really going to be using something like this to record long periods of footage. It also has DC in, so you can power it via the wall if you want to power for a very long period of time. It also has a USB-C port on the side. Now don't get excited, unlike the 600S transmitter, that doesn't allow you to power it via power bank. That is just for updates. Now the latency on this entire system is around 0.08 seconds, and that is nothing majorly great. However, it's nothing really bad. Most transmitters in the price range from around $300 to $800 all have that very similar kind of latency, and for the average creator that's using something like this, that type of latency is more than acceptable. Now if you're asking yourself, well, why are you reviewing these things together? And that is because they work so well together. And just before I get to the range test, listen to this. Of course, you can set your monitor to either transmit or receive signal. You can mount this on your camera. You would then send your camera's HDMI to the in, and this would be set to transmit. You would then take your receiver and mount it on something like an OC director's monitor, or perhaps a handheld monitor that someone has elsewhere. And that allows you to then use this still on your camera as your dedicated monitor, but the director, the person that needs to view, or maybe you've got an ATEM somewhere and you're live streaming, you can just put this over there and receive. Not just that, but you can also transmit to multiple devices. Now, when you look at that and you think to yourself, okay, well, that sounds pretty great, but still, why are these two together? Well, you can take your 600S transmitter, put it on your camera. You can then take the receiver and send it to a director's monitor. You can then also set this to receive and use it as a second monitor elsewhere. Basically, the transmitter and receiver pair of these combined with the monitor is insane. Now, although this all sounds great so far, there's something that when it comes to a transmitter and a receiver for me, that is the main thing, and that is how far the signal can go. Basically what I'm saying is a 100-meter transmitter and a 500-meter transmitter, when they both paired in a building, the 500-meter transmitter always has a better chance of not dropping out. So we took it to a street with a lot of trees, a lot of houses, a lot of Wi-Fi, and a lot of interference, and did a range test to see how good the range is. Bearing in mind, this apparently gives you 600 feet, 200 meters. This gives you 500 feet, which is about 160 to 180 meters. So ideally, this is where the limit is. This is limiting the whole system to 500 feet. So check this out. So here I've mounted my camera on a tripod, and I've got the ZOLink 600S transmitter onto the camera, and I'm walking with the Shimbol 600M monitor that is set to receive the signal. So as I walk away, I can see if it drops out. One thing to keep in mind is that my body is between the screen and the transmitter, so between the transmitter and the receiver essentially, which creates a barrier, and these things don't like it really, especially when you get longer ranges. So there we go, feet still clean, feet still very, very clean. We're getting up to, I would say we're currently at about 100 meters, which is pretty far. Let's see how far we can go. That car is still there and hasn't moved inside in front of Michelle, so you can't see me on that screen. We move over to the left side of the road, and maybe you can see me there. And there we go. It's pretty easy to see on the screen actually, because you can actually see the highlights that are blown out with the zebras, that they're still flickering, and that's how you can tell if it's still going or if a car comes past. So I saw a little bit of a glitch there. There's another one. My body obviously is in between it now, so there's a glitch. So let's just move back a bit here. We do have a car now between us, which could add to it, but it is still going. The zebras are still moving. You can actually watch the zebras kind of jerk a little bit here and there. So let's just keep going. And here we go. Hey, there the car's moving out the way. An easy 500 meters already. Zebras are still running. It'd be nice to have some cars going up and down the street so we can see the movement, and I don't have to let you watch the zebras, but you can see me in the screen. Yeah, I'm crossing the road, and I'm still walking, watching those zebras. And still clean. Oh, there was a bit of a glitch there, but otherwise still good. We are now I don't even know how far we are. It's far. So yeah, 500 meters. So we're sitting at about 500 meters here. And let's see if we keep going with these zebras. Might even get around the corner. Oh, there it stopped. As you can see, the zebras stop. There they start moving as soon as I don't put my body between. So I'm gonna walk backwards. Oh, yeah, there's a car. It's a good test. Stopped. Hasn't picked up yet. The zebras are still stuck. As you can see, I'm going to walk back till the zebras start moving. There we go, the zebras start moving. So there's that car. Car in between, the zebras have stopped. And as that car moves out the way, we should get signal again. There we go. So yeah, so once you get to this distance, you pretty much need good line of sight. Now, I don't know about you, but at about 600 meters, that's like 1,800 feet. That is absolutely insane. I do understand it's line of sight, but the main thing here is it's pushing past, well past the limits of what they claim. And for me, at this price point, that is absolutely insane. Honestly, I expected these to cap out at about 100 to 150, maybe 200 meters, you know, line of sight, but at $399 and call it $350, $380, this is mind-blowing. I don't know what Shimbol has put in here, but it's exceptional. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a comment below if you've got any questions about the Shimbol ZOLink series. I have dropped a link in the description where you can pick up the ZOLink 600S. Remember, it is HDMI and SDI, and it does come with your transmitter and your receiver, as well as a link to the Shimbol ZO 600M monitor. So that's it from me. Wherever you are in the world, have a good day, good evening, good night. Goodbye.